Well, today on Nation, a window cleaners podcast, we're talking all about Waterfed, and maybe you're in Waterfed, maybe you're new to Waterfed, maybe you want to know a thing or two about Waterfed, but hopefully this will help you. We're going to go over the way Waterfed works, what the differences between brushes, composites, poles, systems. We'll talk about it all, so stay tuned to WCR Nation. What's up, everybody? Jersey here from windowcleaner.com, and we're here. What is up, yo? If it's your first time here, no, I don't always talk so hip and trendy, but go back and listen, watch every podcast that's out there, listen, check out Spotify. It is there. 400 plus episodes. We've been doing this for almost 8 years, every single week. Haven't missed one yet, knock on wood. So go back and watch. If it's not your first time here, you've heard that speech before. Thanks for coming back. Hopefully this doesn't suck. And hopefully you get something out of it. But I do want to talk today about Waterfed. Now, I want to put out there that I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com. That's what I do. I sell equipment. But it's not like you think. I don't, what can we do to put you in that? I don't push you to anything. You ask me questions, I answer your questions. Hopefully you come to a decision, or I can help you come to a decision, see what's best for you, and we get that. I love Waterfed. With that disclaimer out of the way, I love Waterfed. It is a tool. Anybody and everybody that you see online who's bad-mouthing Waterfed doesn't have Waterfed. It's not cheap to get into Waterfed. A squeegee is like $20-$30. Waterfed to get a package like $3,000. So not everybody has Waterfed, and people are kind of scared. It's like, you know, when the printing press came out and everybody was like, oh, we're gonna lose our... Same thing. If you're not looking for technology, why are you driving to your job? You should be riding on horseback like they did, right? So with all that being said, know where I'm coming from, but I want to tell you about Waterfed. And even if you've done Waterfed for a while, there may be a little bit of clarification that maybe you weren't looking at in techniques and issues and troubleshooting, and we're going to get to all that. So if you're here, thanks. I very much appreciate it. But I want to start with, how does Waterfed even work? You've probably seen it online. You've seen videos of it. Some guy with a broom with water squirting out of it just kind of scrubs a window, and you're like, that can't possibly clean a window. Well, I'm here to say it can, and it does. Every truck we ran had Waterfed. Every truck that I ran, I sold my company now, so when we had it, every truck had it, and every job that they could use it on, they would. It was up to them if they wanted to use it, but every single job that they could, they would. Now, I'll put it out there that if we were doing a little old lady's condo for, 6 windows, we were at our truck minimum or something, we're maybe not going to pull out the Waterfed for 6 windows. That's fine. There's not a huge deal for that. But anything, especially on 2-story, anything that's just a decent size, I'm going to pull Waterfed out. Waterfed will always be faster. On ground levels, I would say it's on par with scrubbing and squeegee. But if you're anything that you'd have a ladder, it's going to be faster. It will be faster. If you send me a message and say, no, it's not faster, that's because you're not good at it. I'm telling you. But how does it work? Like, we're not just squirting the windows. Like, are the results the same? Absolutely. The results will be the exact same, if not better, than a scrubber and squeegee. And the reason is, you're doing the frames, you're doing the glass, you're doing all that. And people come and they say, well, it doesn't take off paint. Yeah, that's a scraper. That's different. We're talking about cleaning. And Waterfed basically takes water and it runs through a purification process. And there's a couple systems we'll talk about the differences, TDS, all that stuff. But the system takes out the minerals. The minerals are what spot windows at the end. Like if you live in, say, Texas, it's super hot, you hose down your car and then it's all spotted, your windows spotted, everything. That's the minerals that were in the water being left. Water, actual H2O, evaporates. Anything else that's in water stays. So we got to get that out. And just like a spot-free rinse in a car wash, it comes out. We take it out with the system. Depending on your TDS, we have different systems. I'll go to that in a second. But once that's out, it's considered pure water. If it's 10 TDS and under, there's meters that check. You'll get that with systems and all that. If you have a meter, you understand. TDS stands for total dissolved solids. That's the stuff that's in the water. Most of the time, like magnesium, calcium, minerals. So it's not that the water is dirty per se. It could still be clean. It just has lots of minerals. We don't want the minerals. And just like a spot-free rinse in a car wash, it's like the same process. They just run giant ROs. Giant ROs. Pretty cool. If you ever have a chance to go look at like a car wash, it's pretty intense if you can go behind the scenes. Anyway, we cleaned like a gas station, gyro restaurant / car wash, and we went around for everything. So it's pretty interesting. Anyway, I digress. But it takes the minerals out of the water, so when you scrub the water, the encapsulator, which no matter what you see on beer commercials, water strives to be dirty, right? So in a scrub or squeegee situation, you scrub, the scrubbing loosens the dirt off the glass, the soap encapsulates the dirt so that when you rinse it, the dirt doesn't stay on the glass, it rinses off. Or in this case, squeegee. Well, with Waterfed, water strives to be dirty. So it encapsulates the dirt, the minerals, the stuff that's on the glass. It makes it part of the water. And that's why it can then rinse off without any spots. So people are like, well, I have to scrub and squeegee first. No, you just have a super flexible pole or crappy brush. Like pure water does what soap does. It does the exact same thing in the way that it moves dirt or allows dirt to come off. Now, in the very, very rare situation that you have like a truck yard or something right on an interstate or something like that and the windows are real greasy, then you got to degrease it, but your scrubber and squeegee, unless you're using a degreaser type soap, may not even take that off. You got to degrease it first. So Waterfed doesn't break down grease, but that is really, really rare. In all of the jobs that we have Waterfed over 16 years of using Waterfed, I think I've had one job that it comes to mind that I had to degrease. Very, very rare. But with all that being said, that's how Waterfed works, how the pure water cleans glass. And people are like, well, you just squirt it with water. How is that? You're removing the bond of the dirt with the brush, rinsing it off with pure water, nothing in there. So when it dries, all the water goes away and there's no minerals to be left. That's why it's spot free. If you're getting spots, you're doing it wrong. We'll talk about that in troubleshooting. But there's two types of systems. And the systems, when you start to get into gear, it's a bit overwhelming because there's so many options and a lot of it's personal preference, except the system. The system itself, you have a DI, which is the Unger hydropower. It is the 0 single stage DI. Tucker has a DI. There's a lot of companies that have just a DI, but they're very, very rare for people to buy. I mean, one in, it would be 3 states out of the 50. I can't do my math. But that's the odds. There's very few places that you really can use a DI, and that's if your TDS is under 99 or 99 and under. That's when a DI tank only is okay. That just means that the amount of resin changes that you're doing, because resin's expensive, equate to a payoff to go up to an RODI for quite a while. It's always better to get an RODI though, because that covers you on soft water, hard water, well water. It covers you on kind of all the waters. All the waters, right? If you're in a soft water area, it's great. And I'll tell you, I'm in North Carolina, one of the 3, 4-ish states. And my water out of the tap is 44. That's soft. I've actually demoed poles on my own windows in my house and not even used purification just to test the pole, and they haven't spotted. That's how pure it is. Very, very rare. I can run a DI only. I still have RODIs. Because if I get on a well, I'm going to eat that resin up in a day. Resin costs in a half cube. You know, you've seen the tanks that look kind of like a scuba tank, right? The scuba tank ones, that's half cubic foot of resin. That's how we call it, a half cube. That is $139 in resin. And I'll tell you, back in the day, my first system was a DI because I went cheap and didn't do my research, and there wasn't a lot of research. And I bought a DI tank because I wanted to save money. At the time, 3/4 cube tanks, if you've been doing this a long time, 3/4 cubes were like the thing. That was like every tank was a 3/4 cube. I ran through 3/4 cube of resin, which was like $179 at the time, I think, in 7 hours. I ran through that on one job because it's the first job I did it on was on well water, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm like, what the heck? Why is the TDS up? I spent $180 in resin for a 7-hour job. Now, obviously, I have the profits that I made on that job, but do you want to spend $180 a day to clean? Like the speed at that point doesn't make sense, right? So we go to an RODI, now it's only costing me a penny a gallon. That's the difference. Now, the RODI system, which are the ones you see with the wheels, usually a big silver tube, usually in a lot of systems, there's a few stages, and stages aren't really a thing, by the way, so don't say, oh, is this a 4-stage or a 3-stage? That just means they separated the pre-filters, which just means it costs more for pre-filters. It doesn't make sense. Some systems do, some systems don't. But an RODI consists of pre-filters, an RO membrane, and DI. And the DI is very, very small. So say on a Zero Pure or Zero Pure Max, my favorite system, that is an eighth of a cube of resin. Remember, a DI tank by itself, I was running 3/4 cube. This is an eighth of a cube. Very small. And the reason is because the RO membrane, when working perfectly and efficiently, right temperature, there's a lot of variables, that's going to take out 95% of the minerals in the water. So you're only really putting 5% of that to the DI. So that, based on a regular tank, you're sending all of it, which is 20 times more, to the DI. It is not a money savings to go to a DI if you're in the wrong area. And even at that, when your water is so bad, you can't even filter it sometimes through just DI. There's areas that are over 1,000 TDS. So systems have a lot to do with it. If you have questions, by the way, I always get into my shameless plug later, but I am a rep. This is what I do. I mean, my number, you can call me, ask me. We'll look at your zip code. We'll get you, see if we can find averages or anything. I know pretty much all the states, at least what you need, but I would love to help you understand this more than just this 30-minute show. So call me, 862-312-2026 in my cell. I'll get to that later. That's RODI versus DI. And it's all based off of your initial TDS or the long-term efficiency. Now, another piece to this is that, say like a Zero Pure, that RODI system has a 12-year warranty. So when you're talking about efficiency in a DI or not, you're like, well, it's kind of like you'll have that system for at least 12 years. 12 years. That is an incredibly long time. And even if at the 12-year, 1-day mark, it decides to die on you, well, okay, great. You've made your money. 12 years is 624 weeks. How much money do you average on a week? You average $1,000 a week, maybe? That's $624,000 you're going to make before the warranty expires. Like, understand that the few $100s you save does not equate to the amount of money you're going to make. So, I know, I'm a salesman. That's why I always tell you in the beginning, like, because you're like, oh, this is you. Of course you'd say it. I run all RODIs. I do have a DI, a hydro power Unger now, but that was because Unger sent it to me and we were doing some tests. And I'm in a soft water area. So, yeah. Anyway, I live by what I say, I swear. Once you have the system picked out, and again, I'm going to get in the standard flow. You got a Zero Pure, Tucker Rival, Tucker S4, PWP, IPC Eagle. There's all the brands have a standard flow, like the entry-level dollar amount. Give you an example. The Zero Pure's full price right now, when I'm filming this, is $16.99. Gives you an idea. That'll do a half gallon a minute, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's absolutely perfect for Waterfed. You don't want too much water. Too much water gets into spotting and everything, and I'll talk about that in a second. But too much water is bad. Half gallon is perfect for one person. The next step up is what's considered a high flow system. This is the Zero Pure Max, my favorite system. This is the Tucker 4060. This is the PWP has a max system or a max flow system. All the brands have that. IPC has the 2X, right? So all the companies have a high flow, and that doubles the water output. I'm going to nerd out for 1 second. You've seen the systems with 1 silver tube and the 2 silver tubes, and you're like, well, why would I want that? The water flow out of a max, the 2 silver tubes, is double that of the Zero Pure, meaning you could run 2 poles just like you had 2 systems. But it also has less restriction, meaning you can go farther, longer, higher, taller poles, less, without pumps. That's why I love the Max. I'm a water hog, but yet I like to have the options. A Zero Pure in a standard system will do 30 to 40 feet on typical tap pressure for one user. That's it. You have 50 feet you have to go, you're going to have to put a pump on it. Pumps are like $900. Okay. That's the difference between an RODI, the types of RODIs. You can go crazy. You can get a max power system puts out 3 gallons a minute. You can run 6 poles on that if you really needed to. So you can go crazy, but the real reason why you want to talk to somebody like me, don't take it as a ploy, but just maybe not me, maybe somebody else. But why you talk to somebody is because we want to find out what you need it for and why you need it, right? So if you said, I'm doing an 8-story building, well, there's only 1 pole that you would want. There's only 1 system that you would want. If you said, well, I'm doing 2-story houses, well, great. You could pick anything, and you could go with the regular standard Zero Pure or the Ultimate Kit, which, again, while we're recording this, is on sale for like $800 off, which is nuts. But that is absolutely perfect. Like, that is all you need. But it all is based off of what you're doing, and you don't want to paint yourself into a corner, but you also don't want to overbuy. We've all done that too, where, we looked at something, we're like, man, this one's $1,000, this one's like $30. Like, what would I get? Like, why Harbor Freight's so popular is because you can go there and buy tools for nothing, next to nothing. You can go to any other place and go to like a Snap-on or something like that, and they're way more expensive. And those tool people out there are like, well, yeah, but you get better products with the, well, sort of. If you're a mechanic using that one tool 8 hours a day, get something expensive, better. But if you're going to use one socket once because you have one project, don't go and buy a socket that costs 10 times more, right? So we just want to make sure that we know what you need it for, what you think you're going to do. That's how we can kind of tailor it through. Don't want to overbuy, but we don't want to paint ourselves in the corner. Catch-22 either way. But now you get to the poles. The poles in Waterfed are the most important thing. Yeah, I would say the most important thing. Second, by the brush. The system, just get an RODI. But the poles, when you look at poles and you're like, how is this pole $3,000? It's the composite of the pole. And yes, between a Zero Pro Basic and a Zero Destroyer, the stiffest pole on the planet, there is a huge difference. And you're like, well, yeah, but I don't need a stiff pole. Like, it's fine. No. Okay, so the stiffness in a pole, remember, you're going up and down, and you're pushing against the glass. If the pole is too flexible, which the Zero Pro Basic is carbon fiber, and it's basic, and it's the best bang for the buck, I think. But when you're talking between the two difference, this is why. When somebody says, well, I got to scrub my windows first or do whatever, they're maybe using even a hybrid pole, something junky, or they don't change out their brushes. And when they're scrubbing, it's not coming off the glass. And the reason is, all poles, when you watch them, they arc. That arc is where you lose your pressure. So if I'm putting, say, 10 pounds of pressure onto the glass to scrub, and I have a really big arc in my pole, well, I'm going to only have maybe 1 or 2 pounds that actually makes it to the brush. And you're like, man, I've been pushing super hard. Yeah, but it's not getting there. The other thing with the more flexible poles, if you guys have ever used a hybrid, as you're scrubbing up and down, the pole flops off the glass, and now you're not getting it. So you got to slow way down, so it takes you way longer. You got to scrub much, much longer because it's not as stiff. If I could have a pole made of diamond that I could push up there and it did not bend at all, imagine the scrubbing power on that thing would be absolutely incredible. That's the difference in poles. Now, if you're like, well, yeah, but I don't want to spend $3,000, you don't have to. Because if you're doing a job that, say, you're sticking to houses, 1 and 2 story houses, sometimes a 3 or maybe like a walkout, a Pro Basic in the basic grade carbon fiber is absolutely fine. That pole's $649. Yeah, $649 for a 30-footer, where the same 30-footer in a Destroyer is $15.99. There's a big difference. But it's all about what you need it for. Again, why we're here, why you can call, why you can ask questions. Now, if you're doing a job over 30 feet, over 40 feet, we'll say, You don't want to go with a pro at all because it's so flexible when you get up there. A, it's going to potentially break, but B, it's so flexible it's almost unusable. You got to go stiff. And stiff in the pole, when people go, well, what should I buy? Spend the most that you can on the pole because that's what does the work. And again, Zero poles. Zero has the best warranty of any pole brand out there. It's the best selling brand. It's the most popular. You get to see it everywhere. It's our brand, by the way. So that's why we get to control how awesome it is. But Zero itself has a lifetime warranty. And that's like a no questions. No, it's not a no questions asked. They ask you who you are, what happened, that kind of thing. But like they always grant it. If it's something that happened with the pole, the tubes, the sections, the clamps, the levers, the hardware, any of that on the pole, it's covered for life. So when you go with this and you're spending a little bit more on a pole, think about that. But that also will translate. If I have you working with a Pro Basic and I got a Destroyer, I'm probably going to be faster than you, noticeably faster than you, because I can scrub better. I'm getting better results. Okay, those are poles. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. This is a secret just between you and I. If you've talked to me before as a rep, you know that I don't sugarcoat stuff, and you're like, hey, how do you like wagtails? I don't. Oh, well, which wagtail would you use? I wouldn't use a wagtail ever. I don't like them. Like, if you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. If you go, well, what's the most popular wagtail? That I can answer. But I'm not going to tell you I like it. And if I tell you I like something and then you go, oh, well, I don't know about that one. Do you like this one? Would you recommend it? Well, I just told you what I'd recommend. I'm going to be truthful. And the same thing goes with poles. And I do not like the Zero Ultralight. Weight is not, it's a pound difference. A pound is nothing. It's not the weight. It's the stiffness that gets you fatigue. It's the scrubbing that gets you fatigue. It's not weight. 1 extra pound is not going to give you more tired or not tired. And I'm not speaking for how buff you are, but I'm guessing a pound isn't a big deal. What it is the stiffness. So don't go with the Pro Ultra Light. The Micro Ultra Light's kind of nice because it's still a micro, but it's light. But the price jumps. And it jumps for not much better anything. It's lighter, but it's the same stiffness really as like the Pro Basic, or pretty close. If you're going to go either on the base end of a Pro Basic carbon fiber, or the high end of the Destroyer if you can. That's the way that I would recommend. With all this, again, I've already told you I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com, but real quick, you need supplies. That's what I do. I put orders in and it costs you nothing extra. Literally does not cost you anything. There's no surcharge. There's no anything. I will get you, put your order in. You can even save it to your cart and just text me and say, yo, Jersey, everything's in my cart. I put your order in. I make sure you get your free gift. I make sure that fitment issues there, answer any questions, everything. I place the order for you. It costs you nothing extra to go through me, but I get cheddar for it. And I can continue buying my name brand sweatshirts that are shrinking and I have to get a new one, or I'm growing. Either way, I want to be a rep, so please let me do that. Also, if you haven't yet, get a subscription to the AWC, American Window Cleaner Magazine, a phenomenal magazine, by the way, made by window cleaners for window cleaners, the best thing that has existed in the window cleaning industry. It's been around since 1986, but the new magazine, I bought the magazine and changed everything 3 years ago. So the magazine is phenomenal. We went through another rebranding like a year ago. It's freaking good. So if you haven't yet, go to awcmag.com, get a subscription, and also share the podcast, talk about it. That's also free, man. Do that. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. And another thing that I wanted to bring up that I haven't been is I have one slot available for private coaching still, I think. There's a couple people. I don't know. We have a wait list with some people, but if you're interested in private coaching, send me a message. Anyway, back to it. In the pole itself and the system, those are the two big changes. You have then brushes. Brushes are huge. The brush is what does the work. The pole is what gets the brush to do the work, right? The stiffness, the pressure, the scrubbing, but the brush is what does it. If you have an all nylon brush, it scrubs terribly. But that's fine if you're doing, regular jobs. I'm here every month. I'm just kind of cleaning it up. Great. You're not really removing tons of stuff. You can go with a softer brush. It's just like scrubber sleeves. Some scrubber sleeves are very aggressive and some aren't. You don't need the very aggressive for all of them, but you can't use the like very, very soft one for everything. It takes too long. Stuff doesn't come off. Same thing with brushes. You have all nylon. You have a hybrid, which is the next step up. It has boar's hair in the center and then like white fibers around it, synthetic. Those are a good average, like every job brush. The synthetic on the outside gets into corners nice, but the boar's hair is there if you really need to scrub. It does well. That's also what comes on like every pole in any brand is a hybrid. That's like the most common brush. The next step above that is all boar's hair. And if you're from New York or that area, you call it a boar's head because that's your meat. And I didn't know how big of a deal that their lunch meat is. But anyway, boar's hair brushes. Now, there's also grades of boar's hair. Like, I love Ettore, but Ettore's boar's hair brush is hot garbage. IMO. I like everything Ettore. You guys know that. I've used them forever, except when they get into Waterfed, they're just not there. But Zero, PWP, Tucker, those three have really good boar's hair. And a boar's hair brush is a natural fiber, so it is going to wear out faster. You're going to see boar's hair like on the glass. People are always like, oh, this thing sheds. Yep, but it's wet glass. When the glass dries, the boar's hair doesn't stick. There's nothing to make it stick. It just falls off, so don't worry. But they do wear a little bit faster. So a hybrid, you're getting maybe a year out of. A boar's hair, you're getting 6 months. The boar's hair is like $10 more expensive also, but scrubs really well. And that's why when you see these kits like that Ultimate that comes with 3 brushes, because you need to try all of them, see which one you like. But also different jobs can kind of create different needs. Now, also, this is not a plug for Zero by any means, but I like that brand. But they run something called a fast lock. Tucker has their locked system, which is like a proprietary version. Also, it's kind of like a hexagon. But they don't screw on anymore. A lot of the brushes, they all pop on that way with these fast locks. It's a square socket so the brush can't twist. It's smart. It's very, very smart. Gardner, a brand that we don't sell, I don't know many people that do sell, used to be very, very popular. But they kind of came up with that a while ago, and now everybody's adopting it too, and really makes a lot of sense. Those are the brushes. Then you get into pad holders, like the Big Scrub. Those hold a sleeve almost flat against the glass, and those are great for maintenance cleans, and they also can take the hydrophobicness away, which is when a window beads up instead of sheets. That's where a pad holder like a Big Scrubber comes into play. Big Scrubber is a brush replacement. After that, in the very top of the scrubbing is something called a deep scrub. So that would be a white pad on a brush. It's a brush. Those scrubbers, it's a white pad that they're holding against the glass. The downside with those is they don't do frames really well. Because remember, you got to get the face of the frame, which is easy, but the inside where it connects to the glass is the part you need to get. So a deep scrub or a scrubber is really better for like curtain glass. Also, you've seen brushes where it's a Y. One side is the brush and one side is another little thing. That other thing is phenomenal. Those are so great to have. Put them on all your poles. Zero contact scrubber and a walnut pad attachment are the two. One is a flexible head to do a whole window, and one of them is like a fixed T-bar to do spot cleaning. But those are great. If you get into it, it's really baked on stuff. You flip it over and you can heavy scrub it. Very, very good. And they stay up there. You always have them, which is phenomenal. But those are typically the types of brushes that exist. There are no, you're like, well, which one should I get? You should try one and then try another. And then every time you have some free money, try another. See what you like. My favorite is going to be a boar's hair because it scrubs everything. When you see these guys like, oh, I have to do this stuff. When was the last time you changed your brush? Well, that's what I got with my pole back in, 2011. Like, yeah, it's a nylon back then and it's garbage. Like, you just update to get the new stuff. Like the brushes wear out. Like, get a new brush. They're cheap. So that is the poles, the brushes, the systems, the types, Now let's get in. If you've done Waterfed before, you probably knew all that, but let's talk about troubleshooting. There is the biggest issue, which is not a big issue, but of all of the things that could happen, is spotting. And people are like, well, why is my window spotting? The system's broken. No. If I hand somebody on the street a squeegee that's never cleaned a window, and they clean a window and it looks like a horse sneezed on it, no one's going to look at that and go, well, this squeegee is broken. They're going to be like, yeah, you're not good at it. That's where Waterfed is. Don't lose faith in Waterfed because you don't understand how it works. And this happens multiple times a year where people are like, this system doesn't work. It's a scam. We sell thousands of systems a year. Thousands. We have companies that own dozens of systems and packages in all their trucks. Nobody does that if it's a scam or it doesn't work. You just don't understand how it works. So instead of trying to figure out how it works, you just go, oh, it's got to be broken. It's not me. I've cleaned windows for 20 years with a scrubber and squeegee, dude. You didn't Waterfed for 20 years. Otherwise, you'd be perfect at it. So let's talk about it. You see spotting. You are always testing your TDS first. So before you start, you set everything up. You just take a TDS meter. It looks like a thick pen kind of marker, maybe. You fill the cap with water, close it, hit on. It should be under 10. If it is, awesome. That water will not be able to spot on glass, ever, in any situation, ever. But if you're still seeing spots, it's your technique. There's two things you can do for spots. By the way, you've seen this when scrubbing and squeegeeing. Sometimes you clean a window and there still looks like hard water or water spots that are on there, dried on. You can't get them off. That's hard water. That's something different. That's something you may find even with a Waterfed pole, and it's not something that we added. It's something that's on the glass, and if it really bothers a customer, offer acid washing. It's $25 a pane is where it starts, but you can take it off. But the two issues in why you're leaving spots is either you're not scrubbing the frames well enough, because you have to scrub the frame, rinse the frame, scrub the glass, rinse the glass. That's the process. Every window, every time. But if you don't scrub the frames well enough, you may get white drips. That's just scrub the frames better. If you're not doing the frames at all, you're bringing dirty water back on. And here's the other thing. If you use a system with very powerful water, or you're way too far from the glass when you rinse, you're 5+ feet, when the water hits, if you're seeing like a mist where the water hits the glass, that mist gets everywhere. And remember, the siding is still dirty. The parts you didn't touch is still dirty. So what happens with that mist is it picks up stuff, gets back on the glass, and then leaves the spots. To fix that, all you have to do is rinse close to the glass, make sure to scrub and rinse the frames better. You'll feel when you're cleaning when the window's clean. When you're rinsing, if there's a V in the water, that means there's something still stuck on the glass. You'll see those. Those are easy. The spotting is the one that tricks people sometimes because they're like, well, this just doesn't work. No, calm down. You can fix it. It's just a technique. It's not me. Yeah, okay, it is, but yeah. Very easy. That's troubleshooting and the spotting. Another thing that we see all of the time, and people think you're stupid when you answer the question, but we see this question multiple times a day. And people are like, hey, I have an RODI system, and there's no pressure, or my pressure went down. Change your pre-filter. No, it's coming out of the RO. I know. My pre-filter is new. It's only a couple weeks old. Change it right now. Before you even ask, change your pre-filter. The reason is because if a pre-filter, you're not going to see it get dirty. Not always. Sometimes you see it get rusty. But it gets covered. And it takes so much pressure away because it's trying to get through that. And it could be in one job. That now there's not enough pressure to operate the system properly because an RO always takes pressure to operate. So, change your pre-filter. First thing, if the pre-filter is brand new, make sure that you're on a water source that you know. The other thing is that people go, no, I see that it's good pressure. You cannot see pressure. That is not a thing. What you're seeing is flow. Flow's good, but that has nothing to do with an operation of a system. It's PSI. People go, no, it's good. It's good pressure. It's good pressure. I can see it shooting way out. That's not, no. Pressure is, when you have a garden hose, you put your thumb over it, Some of them just kind of trickle out. Some of them you can stop, but some of them shoot super far. Pressure is the PSI that's forcing it against that. Remember, ROs take PSI. It's restricting it. The restriction has to be accompanied and boosted from the PSI of the spigot. Some properties just don't do that. It's rare, but it's definitely common. So if you're getting pressure issues, change your pre-filter and then try your system on a known water source. Now, I only really know of like Utah. Utah, you guys have some of the worst water in the country. And there's a lot of places in Utah that just have dog water PSI. I don't know why. But for those type of people, if you have a high flow system, you're going to get much more flow all the time. But you may want to think about having a pump on your truck. It's not bad to have a pump on your truck. It's nice if you need it, right? So get a pump. They're not cheap. Don't get a 12 volt. They suck. Get a 110. They're like $800, $900. Plug it in. I don't have power. I know, but your customers do. I can't find power. Okay, fine. Then put a little generator on your truck. I don't have a generator. Then get a generator. There are no issues in business that you can't handle. Handle it, right? That's troubleshooting. That's really it. Or you go, well, these windows, they're just not coming clean. Okay, it's your brush, it's your pole. Let's get something stiffer, better, newer brush. I don't have the money for that. Cool, then keep complaining. Because if you're not going to change the things that need to be changed, then, and not to say that the regular systems, regular poles, regular brushes are bad. They're not. But they will wear out. That's a thing, right? If you're in an area with really dirty windows and you can't get a good scrub, add a scrubber. Get a stiffer pole. There's things. It's like when you squeegee a window. You're getting lines and runners in a window. You go, I need to change my rubber. And that doesn't ever occur. Nobody's like, well, this rubber is just... They're like, I just got to change my rubber. Do that with brushes. It's more expensive, but it is going to pay for itself so fast. Anyway, that's it. I ran long, so if you're still here, I very much appreciate it, but show me some love. Let me put your orders in. My number directs 862-312-2026. Save it to your cart or just tell me what you want. A lot of people just text me like, yo, Jersey, I need a 12-pack of 18-inch Ettore Master rubber. I need this and that and this. Tell me. I'll send you confirmation, verify the email, and take a card number. If I already have a card number, maybe saved, and I can just put it in. Make it as easy as possible, and it costs you nothing extra. I cannot stress that enough. It's the same price as if you go do it yourself, and I don't get credit for it. So I want to put it in every order. I see you guys when you place orders, too. So some of you I know are listeners and still place your own orders, which is cool, but not. It's not cool. It's not cool, bro or ma'am, miss. Let me put your orders in. Anyway, also get a subscription to AWC Magazine because you are listening to a podcast about window cleaning. Step it up. Get the magazine. Tons of great articles, cool pictures, just cool culture. Also comes with the sticker sheet, of course. Yeah, got a coaching slot left. Let me know. Other than that, I hope you get into Waterfed. If you're not in Waterfed and you have issues, hopefully those fix it. But either way, let me know. If you have questions or want to get a Waterfed system ordered, or you have questions on a system that's already been ordered, or any of that stuff, let me know. You got my number. More importantly, until next week, go out there and be